You guys, so we made it to the shop. I got my shop assistant with me, Rayleigh. You want to say what's up?
Hi.
Okay. So a few products that you're gonna need. Couple 2x4s depending on how many of these shop dollies you're making. You're gonna want to have some type of ribbed carpet. This basically protects whatever you're sitting on top of your dollies so that it doesn't nick or damage the bottoms. Construction screws are definitely necessary to kind of screw everything in place. I'm gonna also use wood glue. Wood glue just kind of bonds everything and just creates that nice foundation. These are 3-inch casters. All of these products, I'll have them linked in the description below. So if you want to make these yourself, you'll have the links to purchase these products if you don't have any of them. But these are 3-inch casters. I went with the 3 inches instead of the 2 or the 1 inches because it gives it a little bit more room to move and kind of bump over things. So like if you're putting a product on a trailer, you know, you have a lot more room for the caster to get up on the ramp and kind of lift up onto the trailer. Then we have a staple gun that's gonna connect to an air compressor so that we can staple the ribbed carpet onto the 2x4s. And then I would say you're gonna need a miter saw, or you can do it with a hand saw if you want to, but miter saw just expedites the process. And just a couple drills, you know, to drill everything in place. So let's get started. All right, so over here, what we're doing is planing down the 2x4s to make them squared. When you purchase 2x4s from your box store like Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll notice that the edges are kind of rounded. Now, there's no issue with that. You really don't need to do this step, but you know, I'm just gonna kind of square everything out so everything is the exact same size when passing it through it. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna start on the vertical sides. So plane this side, flip it over, plane these sides, and then we're gonna bring the planer up and then plane both sides, the horizontal sides, flush. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna create a perfect rectangle box. So let's go ahead and get started. Now that we made it over here, we have everything planed down. What we're gonna do next is cut everything to its measurements so that we can start, you know, the glue ups, start applying the carpet, the ribbed carpet onto the actual lumber itself. And then we're halfway there. So let's get started. So basically what we're doing is the size of these are gonna be 21 inches by 18 inches. So what I'm gonna do is, because I had some scrap pieces laying around the shop, I'm gonna use some of these pieces, figure out how long they are, and then cut off as much as I could possibly get from each of these pieces. That way I'm not using up too much of like the brand new pieces. So this right here, we got about 36 inches. And if I'm working with 18, basically I'm very tight on the space that I need or to cut. So we'll go ahead and cut our 18 from here. Grab your speed square to line that up. And then you don't want the blade to cut directly on the line. What I like to do is place the edge of the blade on the opposite end of the 18. And here, let me show you what I mean. So right there, we have an 18-inch piece. So we have enough to cut one more 18-inch piece. All right, so we got 2 18-inch pieces. We're gonna cut 2 more 18-inch pieces, and then we need 4 21-inch pieces, and that completes all of the cuts that we need for this project here. So now that we got all 4 18-inch pieces, we're gonna go ahead and cut the 21-inch pieces, and this is what's gonna support the casters down below. So we got this scrap piece. I'm gonna go ahead and cut 21-inch pieces from here. This is about 48 inches long, and all I need is 42 inches. So this is more than enough for me to get 2 pieces. And then I'm gonna cut the rest off of the full length 2x4 that I had initially. All right, perfect. So we got 4 21-inch pieces. in 4 18-inch pieces. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these, kind of sand off the edges because the edges were frayed a little bit, just to clean those up. And then I was actually considering engraving the logo in these bad boys. So I'm probably gonna take 2 of these pieces back to the other shop back home in our office, engrave these bad boys, and then assemble everything together. So we'll go ahead and move on to the sanding process, just sanding everything flush so we don't have anything that's gonna cause splinters or anything along the lines of that. And then we'll move on to the next step. Right now what we're doing, Rayleigh and I, we are sanding off the edges. Rayleigh's wearing her safety goggles to protect her eyes. So we're basically just sanding off the edges. From the Marja saw, it was fraying out the edges, so we're just sanding them down so that when we assemble things, we don't get splinters and things of that nature. So we'll go ahead and get started. So now that we have all the pieces sanded, these ones right here, the longer 21-inch pieces are going to be used as basically the rails. I mean, they're styled and rails, so basically like the rails, and then the casters are going to sit underneath them, while these 18-inch pieces are going to sit on top and act as like the support that's going to support whatever material that you're laying on top of these bad boys. So these pieces here, we're gonna lay them off to the side. I'm gonna take 2 of them back to the office so that we can engrave the woodwork logo into them on the 2 cleanest pieces, probably these 2 pieces. Just engrave the logos inside of them. I'll take you guys there to show you that process. But for these 4 pieces, we're gonna go ahead and start cutting the ribbed carpet and stapling it onto these pieces. All right, babe, so what did you just do so far?
We marked the middle of the board and put tape on so that when you engrave it, it doesn't leave a burnt residue around your logo.
What's this though?
This is the Glowforge Pro. And I am setting it up so whenever you use it, it needs to ventilate outside so you don't get your room all smoky. So we are about to move the logo and create a design on here. So on the Glowforge app, I just select new design. It has to load and recognize what is in the tray right now. And then once it does that, I can upload the new design. Which for this, we are going to use our logo.
So as you can see here, the laser engraver finished burning our logo into the pine. It's pretty cool. So just kind of digs into it. If you can see here, it's not much of a depth. It's just a fine, maybe a 32nd of an inch groove. And essentially, once you peel off this masking tape, you got your design built into the hardwood. So these are part of the shop dollies. So basically we're gonna have the horizontal pieces sitting here that are gonna be lined with the carpet, and the casters are gonna sit underneath here. But this is just a way to kind of brand our shop dollies. It's not necessary to have this tool here. Glowforge, they don't sponsor us. There's no affiliate link for this here, but if you're interested in one, you just simply go to Glowforge's website. They offer payment plans. They are expensive. This one here is about $6,000, but if you are interested in one, you know, you can go there. They are partnered with a firm, so you can basically put it on a payment plan and pay it over time. Or you could just pay it all at once. But it's a cool tool to have. You know, you can make business cards, you can make ornaments, you can make basically essentially whatever you can shove in here that's at least 1.5 inches thick. max. The spacing that it cuts or engraves is 19 by 12, but this comes out so you can kind of slip in longer pieces. They just have to max out at this spacing horizontally, but that's the glow forge. That's the process. We're gonna take it back to the shop and continue with the build. So we made it back to the shop. We got our rails branded, the woodwork logos on each one of those bad boys. Looking nice. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and basically put the pieces together. So we're gonna screw these bad boys in together to kind of create that box format. And then we're gonna align these styles with the ribbed carpet, assemble everything together, and then we'll be done. So what I'm doing here right now is basically, I'm gonna nail one side down that way, because one side is gonna be sitting on the inside of these boards, and it's gonna be too hard to nail the inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nail this side down first, leave all of this exposed, screw it in place, and then flap it over to kind of finish it off. So what you'll see here is, what we'll do is just kind of line it up. Now that's in place, right? And then what's gonna happen is it's gonna fold over and under like that once it's in place. So there's a little, I always leave a little bit of overhang, that way I can take a razor blade and cut that off, and then fold that on top and cut it off on the other end. So now that this is done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and just finish off the rest. So now that we got all of our basically supports nailed down, what we're gonna do is basically assemble them. So I'm gonna take one of the branded boards.
Intermission.
Hey, shout out to Tupac. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these two pieces, right? The 21-inch pieces. They're gonna be lined up like this. We're gonna take the shelf piece and line it up just like that. So it should sit just like that there. And as you can see, like as I'm starting to put it together, it's starting to make sense how everything is formatted and how it's supposed to be looking. So we'll go ahead and start screwing everything down and start wood gluing everything as well, because wood glue is basically gonna bond everything in place so that, you know, we have a nice tight form and nice tight bond between the material, and it's not just supported by the nails. That's a tip for you guys. If you're building anything, cabinets, boxes, shelves, tables, screws will work, but I always recommend, and it's a necessity to use wood glue, because wood glue is really where the bond comes in place. It's not really the screw, it's the wood glue, right? Once you have the wood glue in place, I mean, that thing will last you forever. But what we'll do first is we'll get this in place. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm basically just gonna mark where it sits so I know exactly where to kind of place my wood glue so it's not like spilling all over the place. You'll see here we're basically gonna apply the wood glue directly to this portion here, and then we'll just use like a pilot hole drill bit so it doesn't split the wood. You want something that's just a little thinner than the actual blade itself, or the drill bit. So we'll take this bad boy here, place that right on top, just like that, just like so. Drill out our first pilot hole. All right. Then we'll take the screws. We'll screw it in place. See here. And then all we're gonna do is just line this over just like so to create this platform here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up all of these here, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. All right, so now that we have everything kind of glued up in place, what we're gonna do now is basically fold these flaps over. We're gonna nail these bad boys down, cut the edges so that we can fold those over. And then once we have that together, then we'll be able to put the casters on the bottom. and then this one will be complete.
Hello.
So we lined both of the shop dollies with the rug material. So now we're gonna work on the bottom side. And basically what we're gonna do is attach these 3-inch casters. You'll find these in a link below if you're looking for them to create this for yourself. We're basically gonna line these bad boys up just on the underside over here in a horizontal pattern. So you'll see that one side is longer than the other. What I like to do is just kind of line it up where it sits within the piece of wood instead of kind of like sitting over the edge. That way, when I'm screwing it in, all the screws are sitting within the piece of material or the piece of lumber and not sticking out towards the edge. That just gives it some more security. And then it also just protects it from like collapsing or breaking apart. So what we're gonna do here is just kind of drill some pilot holes. That way the screws have something to catch onto. And then what we'll do is take a washer and a screw. Screw it in place. Most of this material I had laying around the shop, so it isn't exactly to the size that it needs to be, but it's okay, it'll work. Try not to screw the first washer in place. That way you can kind of move around the caster. And then once you have all 4 screws in place, then you can go ahead and start screwing it down. It might be hard to kind of screw in place with the caster here. So what I do is I just get an extension. That way there's more area for me to play with. And it makes it easier to screw in place. Alright, so we got the first one in place. As you can see, they're swivel casters, so they move in all directions. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take what we just did here, and we're gonna replicate that on the second shop dolly, and then we'll be done.